My name is Tyler. You're watching Mom's Basement MMA, and today I have a very special guest. He is the top amateur flyweight prospect in the country. His name's Luis Perez, and he'll be fighting Bryce Woerner on August 3rd. He will be defending his flyweight title. Luis, welcome to the program. Thank you so much for doing this, sir. I appreciate the time. I appreciate the opportunity to get to talk to you so close to the fight.
Yes, sir. I appreciate the opportunity to put myself out there, and have your audience get to know the person that I am, and the opportunity to talk to you. We have never met, so it's always a great way to start putting myself out there, in the amateur level. Now that I'm planning on going to the pro level, so yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate the opportunity.
Of course. Well, I wanted to get right into your 2023. You are a guy that fought throughout 2023, very, very active. You make a name for yourself. Everyone's all of a sudden, the spotlight's on you, man. And like, I just kind of wanted you to tell me a little bit, like when you look back and you think about your 2023, a lot of fights, you had finishes, you're going up against some of the top prospects on the East Coast. Like, what did you learn about yourself? And can you tell me a little bit, like, where do you feel you improved the most as a mixed martial artist in 2023?
So I think my biggest improvement has been my striking. Like I was mostly like a jiu-jitsu practitioner when I started doing MMA, and like when I started getting into the whole sport, and I just think like my striking defense, like my striking offense, just letting go combinations, like I just feel so much more comfortable in that aspect. And that was like one of the biggest things that I just been wanting to improve on, because you know throwing hands is what gets the people watching, like wrestling and all of that stuff, like that's cool and all, but people want to watch strikers and they want to watch people that put up entertaining fights, and that's one thing I can definitely pat myself in the back and be like, yo, you put up great entertaining fights, and it's not to be any type of way towards my opponents, but I'm the one pushing pace, like I'm the one making it like I guess a entertaining fight, you know what I'm saying?
Luis, one of the things when I think about you, I think about finishes right away. Like you have demonstrated that time and time again. You go out there, whether it's by knockout or whether it's by submission, you have an ability to find that finish every time you go out there and perform. Do you feel like people are starting to catch on to that? And do you feel like your opponents are maybe trying to approach you a little bit differently, knowing that you can find these finishes so fast?
Well, to me, I don't care how they approach fighting me, because you can't look at any one of my fights and see the same fight. So it's
Hmm.
like it's so difficult for anybody to want to prepare for me, because I can do it all. And
Hmm.
I definitely pride myself in being able to do it all. Like I'm not scared to strike, I'm not scared to wrestle, I'm not scared to be trying to get taken down. And even if I get taken down, like my jiu-jitsu is superior. Like I'm able to sweep, I'm able to submit, like I'm really not afraid of wherever the fight goes, and I think that's also what excites me and what makes me so confident going into any fight, because it's like, all right, like skill against skill, like you know what I'm saying, like I feel like I'm gonna come up on top wherever it is that whatever it is that we do. So it's like they can try to do whatever they want. I'm gonna just still do my thing. Like I just worry about being the best version of myself, and then the best version of myself is gonna go out there and smoke whoever.
You most recently fought Joseph Rodriguez back in May, and you put on a dominant performance. You got a rear naked choke in the very first round. There's a highlight of it on the Combat Night Instagram account. I saw
Did I
that.
fight yet? Did I
Like
even fight? Did I even fight?
you looked fantastic, man. You didn't
Thank
even
you.
break a sweat.
Nope.
And I was just curious, like, was that your game plan, getting this fight down to the canvas and going for that submission right away? Can you walk me through just kind of how you dominated and how you did that so fast?
Um, no. It so honestly, I never really like plan. Like I just kind of go out there and like feel like I have an idea of what it is that I want to do, but a lot of times I just feel like whatever the things that I work on, they like I apply them and then they work, and like that trip and like just the single to the double to the back, like that's all just practice, like I that's just methodical. Like there was just A, B, and C, and then the trip was there. I saw it and I was like, okay, I had my arm around him, So I'm like, okay, if I just take her back, I can slip this choke in, you know, and it was just easy. Like this kid, he was supposed to be some type of danger, and I just went out there and spanked him. So that's just what I do.
I know you're an amateur fighter, but you've already accomplished so much in mixed martial arts. You're the #1 ranked flyweight prospect in the country, and I was curious, like, do you feel like there's a growing spotlight on you, and like, how do you what do you make of all that? Because like being the #1 amateur flyweight prospect, that's a really big deal. Like, is that something you take a lot of pride in, or do you look at something like that and you're just like, whatever, I got a lot more I want to do? I'm curious, like, your reaction to all that, because a lot of guys talk about being the best, but not everyone can do what it is that you've been able to do in a relatively short amount of time.
So I wouldn't say I pride myself in a way. I like marketing myself, you know. So obviously when I have the top spot and I can be like, yeah, you know, like I'm the top dog, like that's just a way for to market myself, you know, and like to be like, okay, yeah, like this is a nice accomplishment, but in reality it doesn't mean anything. Like I step in and fight. I don't bring a #1 spot, you know, like I just bring
Mhm.
a fight. Like I'm gonna come in there and scrap. That's what I do. It's like I'm not thinking about, oh, like I'm the best, or like, oh, like this and that. Like, no, it's just a way for people to see and be like, oh shit, like this is the kid that is like the #1 or whatever, and it just looks good for them. But it makes no difference. Like that don't put money in my pocket, that don't feed my family, like that don't feed me, you know, like that don't feed my dog, like it's whatever at the end of the day. And it's like Tapology is like, you know, what I think is important is like finishes, you know,
Mhm.
because you can go in there and fight whoever, but if you don't really finish nobody, like, are you really dangerous, you know? And like I think that's kind of where, you know, the Tapology rankings is like, okay, you're finishing people, like, you know, we're gonna put you higher than people who are not finishing others, you know?
Well, the reality of the situation is you're a type of guy that you can fight anybody that you want. You're a reigning champion and you have a very high ranking next to your name. You can fight whoever it is that you want. And you've decided that Bryce Woerner is the guy that you want to fight. Can you tell me a little bit, like, how did this matchup with Bryce come together? And what is it that you saw about this matchup that made you say yes?
Oh, I hit him up in January and I was like, yo, like let's get a fight schedule, you know? And he was like, okay, yeah, like I'm fighting in March, but I guess he kept having opponents pulled out and stuff. And I had been wanting to fight for like the entire year, and then Joseph agreed to fight. Like, well, he called me out first, and then yeah, that fight got set up, and then yeah, I had been like hitting up Bryce and like trying to get something scheduled. Just I like the matchup. I think it's interesting to have somebody who can again do it all. Like he can strike, he can wrestle too. He's a southpaw. He's a little bit longer, so it's just a nice I guess opportunity to put myself out there and challenge myself against somebody who has a different style than I do, you know. And I want to have all the different matchups before I go pro. Like, I mean, this is my last fight as an amateur, so I just know I have tested myself with many different styles, and this is just gonna be the cherry on top, you know.
Bryce had a lot of complimentary things to say about you. He said that he's a tough guy, and that's one of the reasons why I want to fight him, because he's good.
Yeah,
I don't want to fight any bums. I want to fight the best.
yeah.
And he said that I'm looking forward to challenging myself against this guy because I know how good he is. And for you, you look at this fight, like, all that aside, obviously, I'm sure you feel really similar, but you're also taking it because you probably see something that you like. You've probably seen some footage of Bryce, and you probably think that, you know what, these are the things that I think I'm better at Bryce than. Like, what are some of those things? Like, what do you think gives you the edge against Bryce in this matchup?
Well, I mean, I just think we have two different styles of fights, you know, and I think I'm definitely the more aggressive fighter. Like he's gonna be a little bit more slow, and I'm gonna. He talks about patience, and he talks about like how he's gonna take his time. Like there's no time to be taking your time in amateur. Like there's 3 3-minute rounds. That's nothing.
Hmm.
Like I go in there and I blink, and then the round is over, you know, or the fight is over. That happens too. But then it's like I don't have, you know, I don't get paid by the hour. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm gonna go in there and try to finish him as quick as I can. So he can go in there and take his time and do whatever, but then he can go home with an L. It's like, okay, you took your time, you did what you wanted to do, then you went home and took a loss. I don't get paid by the minute. You know what I'm saying?
Luis, for people who've never seen you fight before, like you highlighted a few things, and we've already talked about a few of them. We talked about jiu-jitsu, we talked about striking, we talked about like pressure. For people who've never seen you fight before, like what is it that they can expect to see when they watch you perform here on August 3rd?
I mean, fast pace, fast everything. Just bro, we're flyweights, you know. So we're gonna fly out there. Like it's gonna be, you know, like Goku fighting like whoever, you know what I'm saying? Majin Buu. Like it's like, bro, we're gonna you know what I'm saying? There's not gonna be like, bro, like we're not gonna sit down and like look at each other. That's not what I do, you know. I go in there and I scrap. Like when you expect fast pace, you expect an entertaining fight, and you expect that fight to just go anywhere because I'm dangerous everywhere. So it's like wherever the fight goes, like I'm very comfortable.
Before I let you go, I did want to ask you, Luis, a little bit more about just kind of your training. Like, can you tell me who is your head coach and where are you based out of?
My head coach is David Sutton. We're located in Melbourne, Florida. The team is called Carson Gracie Melbourne, and we have like our own thing that is Hot Box MMA. On top of that, I also cross train at Fusion Excel. The head coach there being Julian Williams. And I like to mix things up with my training. I like to I guess keep it half and half almost, or as much as I can go to both places.
And who have been some of like your main training partners for this camp?
My main training partners have been Tim Abdishahil, Alex Rogers, Jason Borges. He was a Combat Night champion. Alex was a Combat Night champion. Tim is definitely going to be a Combat Night champion as well. Like Eric Rodriguez, beast, about to go pro too. Let's see. One of my boxing coaches, Seth Brown. I've gotten a lot of rounds with him. I've trained a lot with him. See, I'm trying to think who else. Yeah, I think those have been my main training partners for this. It's hard because like when I'm training, like I try to get rounds with like different
With
people,
everybody?
you know.
Yeah.
So like the people I'm naming, it's like the people that I'm like always getting rounds with, you know. It's like
Sure.
it's like if I go to Fusion, like I know I'm gonna be training with these people, you know. Because like sometimes there's other people that are like my size that I train with, but it's like they're not as like I guess consistent with me personally, you know. Like they're consistent with their other training partners and stuff, but we have a big group, so it's like it's easy to like match up with people, you know, who I guess you're comfortable with, you know.
And one final question for you. Obviously, it's July here, and after the Bryce fight, you've already talked about this being your final amateur fight. When can we expect to see you back in the cage for your professional debut?
Well, it just depends. I'm gonna keep training. Like I never stop training, so I'm not really worried about that. Like I don't take time off and stuff. So
maybe
well,
like this winter sometime.
absolutely. I'm trying to get I'm 22 right now, so I turned 23 in December 29th. So I wanna make my pro debut before then. Like if I can make, so there's supposed to be a Combat Night card, a professional card in November 23rd in Fort Pierce. So they do like the cross up between Rise of a Warrior and Combat Night, and I'm both of those champions for those promotions. So I would definitely like to go up to Fort Pierce and make my pro debut. And Fort Pierce is lit. Like bro, people over there, like that's a big arena. Like it always gets crowded. Like it always gets loud, and like people show love, you know. Like I walk around, like last time I won the belt over there, like people were taking pictures and people were being pretty cool. So I like the people at Fort Pierce, and I like Dan Donaldson. He puts on the show with Mitchell, and it's always a good time when I go up to Fort Pierce and fight.
Well, sir, I want to give you the mic, and I want to give you an opportunity, whatever it is that you wanted to say. If there's anyone that you want to shout out, any message that you wanted to deliver, let's have it before I let you go.
I want to thank my girlfriend. She's always there for me. She helps me in many different ways, mentally, physically, like emotionally, like you name it, you know. And I want to thank my coaches. I want to thank my teammates. I want to thank all the people out there in the world that support me and they want to see me do good, you know. And to the haters, like keep watching. Like I'm gonna do my thing, you know, and like the win or lose this fight, like it doesn't really matter to me, but I'm gonna go out there and do what I do, and that's as long as I do and go out there and do my best, in my opinion, that's all I can control, you know, like the judges can do whatever, like whoever can do whatever, you know, but if I go out there and do my thing, there's no way anybody beats me, and there's no way I'm disappointed in myself.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've been speaking with Luis Perez. You can get all of his contact information. Hit him up on Instagram. That'll be in the description for this video. Luis, I appreciate your time this afternoon, sir. I wish you the best of skill on August 3rd. I look forward to having you back on the program very, very soon.